Do-do-do-do-do-do.
Locked in the bunker, shadows shake. One man clapping secrets awake. Board games living, dice they break. Echoes pound and hearts they quake. In your bunker, board games rolling. One man clapping, stories growing. Hard rock thunder, speakers blowing. Clapping loud, the unknown.
Welcome to the sound of one man clapping. I am the one man coming to you direct from the bunker. It is Sunday and life is good. It is just me today. Well, it's just me most days, but today it's just me with myself. On with the show. Last week was a special treat. If you missed that episode, I had a delightful chat with Luke Badger, Badgers from Mars. He's one of the developers behind the Regicide system and all of the iterations, well, almost all of the iterations, as we learned last week, of Regicide, Regicide Crowd Duels. Luke didn't have a hand in personally, but certainly as the frontman from Badgers from Mars, I hope that's all right, Luke, to call you the frontman. I'm not saying, you're the lead singer necessarily, but you're the face and the voice now that everyone knows as Badgers from Mars. And if you missed that, go back and listen to that. This week you have an opportunity to have double one-man clapping, as I had the pleasure of co-hosting this week's episode of So Very Wrong About Games with the inimitable Michael Walker. If you're not a regular listener of theirs, they're one of my favorite online contributors to this beautiful hobby that we have, and I will link their show in this week's notes and in the guild. I had a superb hour with Michael Walker. He's one half of their usual roster, and I was delighted to be a part of it. Also, I don't know what was happening with all the heavy breathing. Last week with Luke, I listened back and I did the editing, and I sounded a little bit like a Star Wars villain. So I don't know if I was leaning too close to the microphone or if it was just that I had no pants on and I couldn't control myself. I don't know what was going on, but there's a lot of heavy breathing. So we'll see. Let's get it all out. This week on the games that were. You're only getting a half serve of the games that were this week because I don't want to double up on my time with Michael Walker and So Very Wrong About Games. I had the pleasure of talking about many of the games that I played this week with him, so I'm not going to double that up. You will have to listen to that show to get the other half. But, as usual, played some great games. I want to kick off with Moon Colony Bloodbath. Now, I spent a day out at Castle Hill with some dear friends. The Board Game Barbecue team put on game days in Castle Hill a couple times a year here in Sydney. It's a ticketed event, and it's always fun. And so I was there, and Project L had Moon Colony Bloodbath, and we played that. Or I should say, it played us. So Moon Colony Bloodbath, basically you are, I don't know what you are. You are some settlers decided to settle on the moon when the shit is going really bad. Badly. Let's maintain proper grammar. Shit is going badly. Maybe it wasn't going badly when we got there, but, I mean, surely we would have seen some signs, because it looks like everything on Moon Colony Bloodbath, not the game itself, but in the game world, was built by Temu. Brought to you by Temu, the D grade of B grade. And, so you start off, and there's a deck of cards, and the cards, there's some stuff that's stacked in there. There are 4 work cards, might be called action cards, I can't remember. But in each round, you're going to get ostensibly 4 actions, and those actions could be to get more cards into your hand that do things. They could be to mine for resources. They could be to put out one of the buildings. And those buildings will contribute a certain number of astronauts, a certain number of colonists to your bloodbath, because, spoiler alert, things are not going to go well. And as the game evolves, every time the deck runs out, you're going to deal new cards into it. New cards are really fucking bad. There's stuff in there like, there's no suicide bomber, but there might as well be. It says the ventilation blows, kill 7 astronauts. Your sewage overflows. 12 astronauts decide that they no longer have any will to live. It's that kind of game. And so every time you run through the deck, you put another card in, you shuffle it all up, and you go again. So you think, the first run through, that's nice. I've got 4 or 5 cards out in my tableau. I've got to feed everyone. I can't feed everyone. You die. You're dead, you're dead, and you're dead. Okay. Next round. Look, something exploded. Something's vented out to space. And it goes downhill very, very quickly. And the game ends when one person runs out of astronauts, and the winner is the person who has the most astronauts left at the end of the game. It's super easy to teach. It's just wild. It's not. There's no strategy. There's no tactics. it's like a roller coaster. You just get in, you hope your seatbelt's on, and you buckle up, and 15 minutes later, there's a score. Yeah. Is it? Is it? Is it, I'm not even sure it's much of a game, to be honest, because you don't have much agency. I mean, you've got a choice. My choice is, this turn, a work card's come up. Am I going to get a couple of resources? Am I going to get a couple of dollars? Am I going to get a couple of cards? Or am I going to put a card down? And I don't mind that. I'm not saying I didn't have fun. I had a blast. Would I play it again? 1,000,000% I would play it again. It's almost like a silly activity more than a game. But that said, heaps of fun. And now that OMC has a 3D printer, Project L has proper resources, because the little tokens that came with the game are really, 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 really sad. Like, really sad little things. So we got food tokens and astronaut tokens and little gold bars and little 3D astronaut brains, and it was great. And I had so much fun. It was 20 minutes of my life and no regrets. Moon Colony Bloodbath is brought to you by Donald X. Vaccarino and art by Franz Vollwinkle and published by Rio Grande. Yeah, talking about games that aren't much of a game, but are still holy shit fun. I picked up a copy, thank you, Dean, at Advent Games, at the Board Game Barbecue event of 2 Saturdays ago. I had a gift card in my pocket that work had given me as a thank you. It was a $50 gift card. I'm like, oh, I'll just bring that along just in case. I'm not in the mood for anything. I don't need any more games, but just in case. And there, on Dean's table, for $54 or $56, whatever it was, so it cost me $6, was Lightspeed Arena. Now, Lightspeed Arena is this wild... Again, is it a game? I don't know. Is it a blast? Absolutely. Lightspeed Arena basically is a real-time game, and you have in your hand, you have a series of tiles, and on each tile there is a spaceship. And on the spaceship, there's going to be 1, 2, or 3 lasers. Those lasers might be green, yellow, or red. A green laser will do 1 damage, a yellow laser will do 2 damage, and a red laser will do 3 damage. Damage equals points if you manage to hit something. Some of these will have shields, and a shield prevents 1 damage from hitting you. They are directional, so if the shield isn't facing the laser you're about to cop a hit from, it doesn't do anything. And each ship has a number of little green Harbulary batteries. They've got batteries on them, and those are the life points of the ship. So if the ship gets hit for 3 and there's only 2 batteries, it gets destroyed. And it's real time. So you fire up this little app that comes with it. It does a countdown. It says, get ready. And it's just this C-grade, sci-fi, growling voice. It's fabulous. It's absolutely fabulous. And so you get a countdown, and then it starts. And then you've got 10 seconds to put your first ship out. And there's a preset arena where you have a base that you've put out first. And there's a couple of asteroids out that get in your way. And you've got to drop a ship within 10 seconds. And you've got to orient that ship so the lasers are hopefully going somewhere good for you. 10 seconds finish, boop, and the next ship comes out, and the next ship, and the next ship. And the more players you have, the fewer ships you're placing, because otherwise it gets very, very crowded. Once that's all done, you're going to get the little app out, and you're going to take a photo of the battlefield, and it animates the entire battle, because the ships are numbered. So the 1 ships will shoot first. The 8 ships will shoot last. So if your 8 ship, which typically has all the big power lasers and shields on it, is gone, it won't shoot at all. Because if it gets hit, if it's got 4 batteries and it gets hit 4 times, it's done. It does all the legwork for you, this app. It's a blast to watch. It's animated. It has sound effects. It has little jibes. Like if you miss everything, it makes snide comments about your aim. And it is so much fun to play. A game of Lightspeed Arena, if you're playing, there's 8 ships in a full complement. So if you're playing 2 players, it's 8 ships. It's 10 seconds a ship. So the game is 80 seconds. You take a photo. It's another 90 seconds to watch the animations for the game. And then everyone high fives and you cheer and you jeer and you... I played with Buttercup, the Peanut, and Dustin the first game. The Peanut cleaned up. Dustin got 2 points his first game. He just looked up and went, what the fuck just happened? But second game, I think he got 29 points, right? It's fun. It's stupid. Is it a game? Just barely. It's almost a dexterity game more than anything. It's because getting that ship down in the right spot under time pressure is a blast, pardon the pun. Also, if your ship happens to get destroyed partway through the game, other ships can shoot through where it used to be. I've never had a single screw up with the app scoring, and I think that for $50 on the table, it is super fun. Super, super fun. Great with kids, great with adults, great after a couple of glasses of red wine. I think, Lightspeed Arena. There's a 5 and 6 player expansion. There's a couple of other things. The asteroids which are there, you can mine the asteroids? What the shit is an asteroid? You can mine the asteroid by hitting it with your lasers. So if you hit it with your red laser, you will mine it for 3 whatever's in it. But you only get those points if the ship is still alive at the end of the game, which is quite fun. The backsides of all the asteroids add little extra layers of rules in the game. So you can layer on 1 or 2 different extra rules in a game, which are really quite fun. One of the expansions, I was looking at it today, has an asteroid which turns the whole player board into either the lasers will shoot out one side of the field and come back in the other, or they will bounce around the outside billiard style till they hit something. I just think it's just so bonkers. Lightspeed Arena, super fun. That's by Leonardo L.S., James Ernest, Tom Jolly, Emmanuel Santolini, art by Marco Soloni, and published by Tablescope. Also, if it sounds like I'm rushing a little bit, I'm sorry. I'm a little short on time today, guys, but I really wanted to get this one out because we hadn't had a normal episode in 2 weeks. And the weeks just get away from you. 2 more games I want to talk about. As I said, there were several others, but you'll have to tune in to So Very Wrong About Games to hear about those. One is The Crew, The Quest for Space Station 14. I'm sorry, I want to say Deep Space Nine, but it's not. It's the Space Crew. Outer Space Crew trick-taking game. Now, Super Trooper and Dustin and I have been limping through the crew, and I say limping because we have some moments. Probably 2 years. And I had a ripper of a day at work on Friday, and I popped down to Super Troopers after work because we were going down there for dinner, and he pulled the crew out, and my brain just wasn't in it. Like the first 2 rounds we played, I'd play a card, and these guys looked at me like I'd had an aneurysm, and I think the first game we played, the first card I played, and I'm usually pretty good with trick takers, reading the room and reading the scope and reading the state of the table. And the first card I played, they just looked at me like, "Are you okay, James? Like literally, are you okay?" And I looked down at the table and went, "Yeah, no, I'm not okay. I'm going to pull that back into my hand. Nothing to see here." If you haven't played the crew or you have no idea what the crew is, you basically have 4 suits of cards, numbered 1 to 9, and there's 4 trumps. And you get these challenges, and the challenges will say, you've got to win a trick with the red 9 before you win anything else. Easy peasy, right? Super easy. Until you have 8 challenges or 9 challenges on the table. And, there's some of these things that we did 7 or 8 times before we passed them. And there's some we've done them once and passed them. I have had a great time with the crew. As I said, I think we've been working our way through it for at least 2 years. And it's just one of those things that pops out as a filler. We go, hey, let's knock over some of the crew. I know we're into the 40s now. There are 50 missions in the crew. I think we're in mission, I want to say 42 or 43, somewhere around there. So hopefully one more big session or 2, I say session, it's a half hour. You can only play the crew for a half hour because after a half hour, you can't even see the cards anymore. But I love the crew. Looking forward to ticking it off my list, saying, yeah, we finished the crew. I know there's also the crew underwater, which I've heard great things about. I have pre-ordered a copy of Eternal Decks, which I'm very excited about. And there's some other really clever stuff out there. I'm looking more and more at Take Time because it's got that crew-esque and it seems impossible when you think about what you need to accomplish in Take Time. And I'm not going to talk about Take Time at length. But I'm looking at it more and more because the stuff seems impossible. When you talk to people who play it, they're like, no, we smashed that. And it looks really clever. So we'll see. So that's the crew. We played so much the crew. We're in the home stretch. That's by Thomas Singh, art by Marco Armbruster, Sensit Communications, something, published by Cosmos with a K. And the 4th game I want to talk about today is a game that it shouldn't be as good as it is. It's this little box game by Dr. Knizia called Marabunta. Now, I don't know where Super Trooper finds these esoteric Knizia games. He'd call me and go, yeah, I've got Marabunta from Dr. Knizia, Ryan Knizia. Ryan, oh man, hang on. Need some hydration. Ryan Knizia? I don't think so. Dr. Reiner. Super Trooper's a big fan of Dr. Reiner Knizia. And he'll send us these messages going, yeah, I've got Merkenurken 6 by Dr. Knizia, and normally Project L's the one that rocks up with something we've never ever heard of. Like, hey, today we're playing Flip Tunes. Like, what the shit is Flip Tunes? I've talked about Fliptoons a couple of times. Fliptoons is a blast, by the way. So this is a Marabunta. No idea what Marabunta is supposed to be, what the theme is. There's some areas on a map. It's basically an area control, area majority game is probably better than area control. But it's an I split, you choose. And so on your turn, you're rolling a bunch of dice, and the dice will have numbers on them that are colored because each of the areas on the board are colored, and there might be little totem on there. So the red die will have zeros, ones, and twos and threes, and a little totem. And if the totems will be color coded again for each area. And then there's a tile that flips over that has little bennies on it. And so you're going to flip a tile over, and you're going to roll the dice, and whoever's rolling is going to split the dice up, depending on how they've come up, with the tile that's come up, and put them out for their opponent. Their opponent's going to go, well, I see what you did there, and I hate it. And so then, if Dustin's rolling and splitting, then I've got to pick the pile I want, and then I go first. And basically, if I have a green 1, then I get to put a 1 in the green territory. If I have a green 3, I can put a 3 in the green territory. It's got to be adjacent to something I already have out, essentially. So you basically have to add on to wherever you are. So the strategy in Marabunta is to try and be in positions where you can access as many different colors as possible. Because what'll happen is your opponent will go, well, here's a green 3. You really want to boost your green because you want to win green because there's good points there. But here's a yellow 1, and you got no fucking hope in hell in getting near 1. Yellow, you're nowhere near it. You can't put that in. I'm probably doing a really shit job of this. Anyway, the other thing comes up. I was calling them little garbage bags, but they're not. They're like little... They look like little dumpsters, but they're like little packages. And if you get one of those, you get to cross a package off on your player board. And if you get so many, you get a benefit. And then there's what looks like cupcakes. I don't know why the fuck there are cupcakes in this game. Dustin was calling them cupcakes. It can't possibly be cupcakes. Like, this is not a birthday party. I don't know what it is. Is it? Maybe it's a birthday. Everybody knows what the fuck Marabunta is about. What the theme is, let me know. But it looks like little cupcakes. There's a cupcake track, and if you scratch them off, you get more and more points. And I learned by the end of the game that if you're not scratching cupcakes off, you can't win. It doesn't matter how many points you get from the area majority. If you're not chasing cupcakes, it's like vineyards in Castles of Burgundy. If you're not chasing cupcakes, just go home, right? But about halfway through the game, you start to really drill in. The eye split is the zestiest, spiciest stabbing in the dark that you can do, because you roll the dice and you look at it and you go, right, well, I know Dustin really wants this pink 2 that's come up, so I'm going to bundle it with a bunch of shit and put the other stuff that's really good but doesn't help him but really helps me in this other pile. And so you might spend 3 or 4 minutes just really dissecting how you're splitting it, and then the rest of the turn round is like boink, 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 and we've got it done. I shouldn't have liked it as much as I did. It's I don't know how to use these words. It's a stupid little game. It's basically like, imagine, your sister's cutting the cake, and you want to work out which piece of cake is bigger, but you can't see the flavor of the cake, or maybe there's coin stuffed inside the cake. It's a terrible analogy. It's a really good little game, though. It looks like it's probably only a $30 game from Amazon. I don't know. But I got there, and Super Trooper was starting dinner, and he opened it up. He said, here, you play Marabunta with Dustin. I'm like, fuck, I have no idea what this is. And I got a lot of trust for Super Trooper when he says play this game. He hasn't let me down much. So yeah, Marabunta. Dr. Rainer Knizia, art by Ingrid Desmond, and published by Space Cowboys. So I guess normally we'd do incoming 4 exclamation marks. I haven't had a ton incoming, but I guess there's some worth mentioning. Of course, it was the aforementioned Lightspeed Arena, which I picked up at the Board Game Barbecue Day. The wonderful thing about going to the Board Game Barbecue Day is Dean comes in person with his whole table of goods from Advent Games. And if you want to order anything from Dean, he's happy to bring it down there for you, shipping free. So some stuff that I had pre-ordered was in. One was the expansion for SETI, that's SETI Space Agencies, I think it's called, and that was ready for pickup, and he brought it to the Board Game Day. We literally peeled it open and played it that day. Spoiler alert, it's fantastic. If you want to hear my rundown on SETI Space Agencies, go tune in to So Very Wrong About Games this week. But I also picked up the 2 Kinfire Delves that I did not have. Kinfire Delve is a lovely little box. It's a little puzzle, deck milling puzzle. And I had 1, and the other 2 had been out of stock in Australia, so I picked up the other 2 because they're only $30. Great little games. So I picked up Callus Lab and Scorn's Stockade. So very much looking forward to those. I am traveling for work this week, so I'll be bringing at least one of those with me because I really like the Kinfire Delve system. I think it's fun. I think it's interesting. I think it's got some lovely push-pulls. There's a mystery box upstairs. It is my birthday this month. I am 50 and change this month. And so there's a wrapped GIF upstairs from Project L. I have not opened it. I'm not opening it until my birthday, which is another week and a half away. But she's made me promise to clear any purchases that I feel the need to make between now and then to make sure that it's not already wrapped up in there. So I don't know what's in there. I have a sneaking suspicion, but I do not know, and that's good fun. It is my birthday, so there's probably going to be a few other things appear. The fox does not buy me board games, and I'm happy with that. She doesn't know how, or well, she doesn't know how. She refuses to learn how to log into BGG and check out my wish list. It's all too hard. She could also just, I don't know, message Super Trooper and go, hey, what would you... But you know what? She can just, I don't know. There's lots of things she could do for my birthday that don't involve board games, and I'm okay with that. Allegedly, Trismegistus, the new release of Trismegistus is due this week. I am wildly hopeful because I have a double back-to-back day this weekend that Super Trooper has been affectionately calling ClapCon. Horrible name. It's going to be a great couple of days. So I've got the day off work on Friday and Saturday, and we've got a table all day on Friday, just the four of us playing Heavy Heroes on Friday, and then Saturday I've got a house full. There'll be a table upstairs, table downstairs, and some delicious food. And so we've got 2 days back to back this coming week, and I'm really hopeful that Trismegistus arrives. If it doesn't, look, I've got other options, but it's one that I was really hoping to play this Friday. It's not incoming yet, it's allegedly incoming. And that's all I've got for incoming this week. Welcome to FOMO Mofo, where I take you through my personal angst-ridden journey of capitalist acquisitionism. As always, this is not an exhaustive list of crowdfunding projects, but merely those that have my personal attention, either because they are by a design and development team I like, a theme that I enjoy, or because they have pretty toys. And, God, I love the toys. Sometimes it's all three, and when it's all three, here's all the monies. It is a sweet time to be alive, people. Crowdfunding is both crazy and giving us all just what we want. If you missed it, Chip Theory dropped some details. I don't think it was quite a learn to play. I think it was an overview of their up-and-coming 20 Strong series. It's coming very soon, featuring 3 games by Awakened Realms, those being Aetherfields, Tainted Grail, and Nemesis. Not live yet, but coming. I really like 20 Strong. I have not played Aetherfields. I've not played Nemesis. We're going to be playing Nemesis Retaliation on my birthday this week. Spoiler alert. But I love Tainted Grail, and I really like the 20 Strong system. So those are coming soon. This week as well, the Brass Pittsburgh campaign finally goes live after a couple of last-minute delays. Get ready for all the fireworks. This one is going to go bonkers. We'll be discussing the campaign in detail next week, but heads up, if you like your money, do not check out the Iron Coins that they're launching with this. Whether you are a Brass fan or not, your Iron Clays just got made second place. I mean, my God, sweet baby jeebas. But into the fray this week, the Old King's Crown is getting a reprint and extra expansions. It has skyrocketed to over 2 million euros. This one is going nuts. This is, a small indie publisher. It's self-published. It's going bonkers. At the time of this episode, you'll have about a week left to get on board. No doubt there'll be late pledges almost immediately following, so don't stress about it. I've not yet played Old King's Crown, but it is on the birthday roster this week. I'm very much looking forward to it. It's pretty much out of stock everywhere, so if you want it, it's delivering very quickly post-campaign with the expansions and extra goodies coming later. If you want it, you can hop on, you can pledge for it. You'll have it by May, which tells me he's already got 50,000 copies made, and this is how he's circulating them before they go into retail. If you're starting from scratch, it's a lot. It's about $340 Australian. That includes all the upgrades, all the metal bits, all the chunky bits, and there's a new small box game they've thrown in for good measure. Shipping on all of that is only $37 Australian, which is a bargain at just under 11%. I'm wondering if President here will drive shipping through the roof in the near future. I would not want to be involved in importing in any way, shape, or form. As I said, I've not played Old King's Crown. I am ready to play Old King's Crown. It looks great. The asymmetry looks great. The art is spectacular. I just love it. Some of my group, you know who you are, have labeled Old King's Crown weird. But to them I say, if you want lunch, you play the game. And that's easy. When I got the room and I got the food, That's why we're playing it first. Old King's Crown, we're going to play it first on Friday. And, you know, lunch is sitting behind it. Old King's Crown, reprint and extras. It's coming. And I think it looks wonderful. Up after that, oh, my baby's getting an upgrade. My baby, Voidfall Resurgence is live, and with all the Voidfall goodies. More factions, and if you look at those factions and you squint just a little, one of them looks a little bit like Space Pirates. It's not quite stealth, but it's kind of sneaky, so maybe be Space Pirates. One of the things I'm most excited about, there's a solo campaign, which allegedly there's a variant you could play co-op, but who cares? A solo campaign for Voidfall. I just love the idea of that. I don't know what it looks like, how long it is, how big it is. I don't even care. But the fact that there's a solo campaign for Voidfall just makes me so tingly in the jinglies. There's also, I believe, a revamped solo system that lets you play something closer to the core game when playing solo. Again, I don't care because solo Voidfall is triumphant. It's basically the co-op mode, and I actually think the co-op mode on Voidfall is something that I would very much like to get to the table. We've only ever played it multiplayer because we love it multiplayer. I really enjoy Voidfall solo. I think the solo game of Voidfall is excellent. I couldn't care less that there's a variant now that lets you play it more like a regular game. But of course, there's minis, metal bits, playmats, new ships. There's a new psionic agenda system. It's just more Voidfall. And for me, how much it costs is irrelevant. I don't care because it's my schmunkirl. Remember, it's my Voidfall's my candy, right? But I'll humor you. The expansion, with the campaign, and well, not the crowdfunding campaign, the solo player campaign, the expansion factions, the playmat, the extra metal resources, it all comes in at $275 Australian, which is pretty much the price of a completely new high quality game. But Voidfall shipping will be $31 to us, which again is a very tame 11%, but who knows what it'll look like. I mean, I think everyone's hoping that by the time these things deliver in 2027, cooler heads will prevail and oil will once again be allowed to travel freely around the globe. For me, it's not even a decision. If you missed the nuance in this discussion, this will be available at my table in 2027. Next, I want to talk about Botany Floral Dragons, the bestest of the Floral Dragons. I mean, this looks gorgeous. I've never played Botany. I've always wanted to Botany the shit out of something, and if you know, you know. It's Mark Watney. He's a legend, right? The art is spectacular. It looks like the Peanut would Botany the shit out of this, to be honest. The dragon art is so gorgeous. It's just... I haven't looked too deeply, but if it weren't for my being all in on the new Voidfall, I'm holding my colon intact for a few other campaigns launching over the next 4 weeks. Iron coins for brass, maybe? I would probably be in on this. It's not that expensive, to be honest. It's $121 for the deluxe version. You can get the jewelry box version if you have money that you have no idea what to do with for almost $300. Comes in a wooden box. Everything's metal. I think, it's little dragon cock rings. I don't know what it comes with, but whoa, it is off the charts. Shipping's $36, which is 30%. That's up there for sure. And because Kickstarter is not a store, you can order everything Botany with your pledge. It's cute. It's dragony. To be honest, it makes me want to buy Wormspan. That's what it does. It's, I think the art's lovely and it looks great, but that's what it does. It makes me want to go buy Wormspan. And last but not least, I just want to touch on the Regicide campaign. We talked about this at length last week when Luke was on the show with us, but I want to flag it here. That campaign is now live and thriving. You can get all kinds of quality of life additions like playmats and mental health trackers. If you have Regicide Legacy, you know what I'm talking about here. It looks like a lot of the little quality of life things that came with Regicide Legacy are being offered now as an add-on for core Regicide players. The games are very reasonably priced. Regicide Inferno is $25 Australian, which is a bargain. Shipping is going to bite you right in the backside, though. Shipping for these small games is always a challenge, right? Because there's a certain threshold where, it is what it is. And then you've got a sweet spot where your game's kind of in that middle and you can get decent games shipped for not huge amounts of money. And then you go all the way to the other end where you've got these monstrosities that need half a truck, and Postman P has to bring his 3 children to help him carry stuff up the stairs. But shipping for Inferno, I mean, it's only $15, right? It's not like it's huge, but it's $15 on a $25 game, and it's a lot against the cost of the game. Do I think Inferno's probably worth $40? I actually do. I think it looks great. I like Regicide a lot. I go as far as say I love playing Regicide. I play a lot of Regicide solo because it's very easy to play. I really like the new Inferno mechanics, the 5th suit that comes in with the mages. I really like. There's a real wild magic sort of bent in there where if you play a mage, you get to flip the top card of your deck over and add it to what you're playing, and everything gets added in, but that card is burnt, it's consumed, so it doesn't go back in your deck. So I really like that. I think it's a really clever little layer. And do I think Inferno's worth $40? Yeah, I do. I think Inferno's worth $40. I have no issue with that. I think if you're looking to save a bit, I don't know. I didn't think to ask Luke last week, but I would be quietly confident, I'll say, that Ridgeside Inferno's probably coming to retail. I know that Badges from Mars has a very strong retail strategy globally, and I would be shocked if there wasn't a retail strategy for things like Inferno or Crown Duels, which is the other one that's coming. If you do want it, my suggestion is go hop in and get the quality of life stuff. If you don't have Ridgeside Legacy, get the play mats, get the little metal trackers and all that stuff, because then your shipping just makes sense. You're not going to be paying. Your shipping is going to drop from 60% of what you're buying to 22% of what you're buying, and you know what? Badgers from Mars, they're legendary. They're legendary human beings. They have a wonderful ethos when it comes to wanting to bring their games to your table. One of my favorite comments that Luke made last week was when I asked him about the business decision of selling something that he's also giving away. He said it wasn't a business decision. We just wanted more people to play Regicide, and I just love that. Absolutely love that. So there's more Regicide. Go get it, peeps. There's more out there, to be perfectly blunt. It all sits in that vanilla niche space. Phantom Epoch has more stuff. It's a dungeon crawler. Nothing wrong with that, but do you have a dungeon crawler? Do you have a dungeon crawler that's awesome? Do you want another one that might be good? I've not played Phantom Epoch. I looked at it. It popped on my feed, and I opened it up and went, oh, that looks, yeah. I don't need that. And the designer Blood Bowl's back with a full sci-fi sports match. Basically, it's more Blood Bowl under a new banner. It's called Dread Bowl All-Stars. It basically looks like a sci-fi battle royale with minis. Maybe that's undercooking it. Apparently it plays in an hour. It looks like it would be fun if I was 25 and not sober. If that's you, have a look. I mean, I've taken a solemn pledge to not shop for games while under the influence of fermented grapes. Bad things happen. And for more FOMO Mofo, tune in next week.
With myself I shout, man against the cardboard doubt. No one here to call me out. Game pieces scattered all about.
Well, this week on Voices in My Head, y'all know I like to play a lot of solo games. Why? I like my own company. Big chunky games, mid-tier, little breezy ones. Today's not about why. Today I want to touch on what actually makes a solo game good. Or what makes a solo game great. I mean, I'm sure it's been asked 10 bazillion times, right? Every content creator's probably going, there's my top 50 solo games of all time and why I love them. And I suppose you could just take solo out of this title and just go, hey, well, what makes games great? I'm going to try and put that bent on this properly to say, I'm looking at this question specifically from a solo game point of view, because I know there are lots of you out there like me that play solo games for whatever reason. You want to get away from your children. You've had a shitty day at work and you want to just ignore the world for a little bit. I'm sure there are people alive today thanks to solo games and caffeine. They have kept me out of jail for sure. But what makes a solo game great? I mean, it's kind of like saying, what do you want for lunch? Because it's, what does it really mean to you? What are your metrics? And this is not going to be a sit on the fence conversation. So don't think that's coming. But it's like, what do you want for lunch? Is it summer? Is it winter? Did you have a big breakfast? Are you high as fuck on caffeine? Solo games are great for a whole pile of reasons. And as I said, we could be just talking about games in general, but I'm going to talk about solo games specifically. For example, I love Gentle Rain. Gentle Rain, there's like 2 rules. You flip a tile, you put a tile out. If it happens to match in the right ways, you can drop a little disc with the flower on it. The teach is 15 seconds. Not that there's anyone to teach, because it is a solo game. The Peanut and I have played this together, when she was first learning, and we'd play it together and have a chat about it. She's since run off with it. She really, really likes Gentle Rain. She's banned from screens for whatever reason. She'll pull it out. She'll play 4 or 5 games. The game lasts 10 minutes, and did you win? Who knows? I mean, there's a way to score Gentle Rain, but it's kind of like old school solitaire with a deck of cards. If you don't get all the cards out, if you don't get them all stacked in the aces, you don't win. If you don't get all the flowers in the tableau, it's not really a win. For me, it's like there's a way to score, and it's like, well, and then it's like, well, did you win, and how many tiles were left in the stack? Well, that's a better score. I mean, I'm calling bullshit on all that because these tiles are randomized. It's not like it's a set puzzle where they're stacked in and you can actually have. If you win with 10 tiles still in the stack, that probably has a lot to do with the fact that you got some really lucky pulls. And I mean, yes, you've got to be clever in how you orient these things when you put them out, but you're pulling a tile out, you're putting it in the tableau, and maybe you put one of your little flower tokens in it. And if I get rid of all the flower tokens, I win. If I don't win, do I care? No way, because this is just a delightful little diversion. It's super gorgeous. There is a deluxe version you can get with like 3D printed flowers. Why is it great? Okay, maybe it's not great, but it's good. To be honest, I can't even tell you. It's random tile draws and you do your best. It's like flipping a card in old school solitaire. Is it pretty? You bet. Is it fun? Not really. I mean, fun's a loaded word, but like, is it like, woo? No. Do I still want to play? Yeah, absolutely I do. Maybe fun's the wrong word. It's quite zen. So this kind of falls into the category, it's a chill activity. I can't think of another game I have that falls into that realm, but Gentle Rain's a chill solo activity. I mean, it's a puzzle. I wouldn't call it an activity. It is a game because there's a puzzle there. You are stuck with the nature of that puzzle in that you will often pull stuff out and there's no way to win. It doesn't matter. It's 10 minutes of your life. But moving up, I think, to the next level, I go to the small box, and I'm talking about small box games. I'm talking about genuine solo games. And I think this is quickly becoming one of my favorite categories of solo games. And these are the games that are in a relatively small box. They're not 1 to 2 players, 1 to 3 players, whatever the case is. I mean, some of these can be played 2-player. I just wouldn't. But they're basically, they're proper solo games. And they're in a small box. And as I said, this is quickly becoming one of my favorite categories, not of games, but of solo games. And that's things like Buttons and Bugs. The 20 Strong system, Hercules and the 12 Labors. Under Falling Skies will never leave my collection, right? It's a little bit bigger than the other two, but Under Falling Skies has a campaign mode where you got to save the world, and a little bit of stuff carries over, and there's a little bit of asymmetry, and Under Falling Skies is a delightful puzzle. And again, sometimes it's a puzzle that because you've rolled dice, you've got no hope in hell of winning, but it's a puzzle that you can, it is so clever. I'll throw Kinfire Delve on this. Even though Kinfire Delve is technically a 1 to 2 player game, I've got no interest in playing it 2-player. I don't think it'd be particularly fun 2-player. Kinfire Delve is a wonderful, wonderful solo game. And these are easy to chuck in a bag. They're easy to take traveling. They're easy to relearn if it's been a while, right? Because they're not super complex. 20 Strong, as long as you remember the core system of 20 Strong, you can layer on the new layers from every version they have in a couple of minutes. They're a fabulous way to just get a game to the table. It's a half hour of your life, maybe a little bit more, like something like Hercules and the 12 Labors. It's probably 2 hours, but you can save it. There's a save system. You can slot it away and go back to it. These are my go-to games when I'm traveling, but they're also when I don't have the mental bandwidth to go relearn something meaty, something chunky, or I don't have a half hour to set up a table, or I just don't have the space, or I've got 30 minutes to fill, and I just want a diversion. And these are wonderful. And it's really interesting to me the way, and you can really see it certainly in the last 3 years-ish, the way game makers are leaning really into solo play, and I think Chip Theory, I won't say they were the first. They were one of the first to do it in a really big way with Hoplomachus Victorum. Hoplomachus Victorum is a solo-only version of their game Hoplomachus, which is gladiatorial combat. It is a monster of a game. It's very expensive, just like most Chip Theory games. It is a wonderful rinse-repeat battler. I absolutely freaking love Hoplomachus Victorum. And I think it's the first one I can think of that was a huge game with multiple expansions, quite expensive, that was just aimed at one player and an exceptional one-player experience. I just think they've done such a good job. I mean, we'll circle back to Chip Theory and solo games in a minute, but when I think the small box, I think, Hoplomachus Victorum, I'd still have to go and relearn. There's like 40 keywords and whatnot if I wanted to bring it back to the table. I would have a great time doing it, but it's the kind of thing where it's an hour before I'm playing again. And then I'm committing to sort of 10 or 12 hours over the next 2 weeks, whatever the case is. But these small boxes, Buttons and Bugs, I've never made it to the campaign because I don't save it. If I'm playing, I'm traveling, I start again at mission 1 and I play. And if I get to mission 7, that's great. And if I get, because, it's not that a hand of Buttons and Bugs, a scenario is 10 to 14 minutes, maybe 15 minutes if you're taking your time. And I just love the mystery of what's waiting at the back end, because I think it's a very clever, cool little system. Those are the little boxes. But let's crank it up a notch. These are solo games that are next level. And I'm talking about games that are genuinely solo games, right? So we're talking about Hoplomachus Victorum fits into this realm. Some of my favorites, Batman the Dark Knight Returns. It's a game of attrition where you're getting weaker and weaker as the game gets through. And you're just trying to limp over the finish line. Nemo's War. Oh man, Nemo's War. There's a variant where you can play 2-player. There is just no world in which I think that would be fun. It's like Sleeping Gods. Sleeping Gods can be a multiplayer game. I think unless I was playing with the Peanut and we were just, it's like, hey, what should we do? When it comes to the battle and the combat and that puzzle, you don't need 2 people weighing in on that. That's just annoying. And Nemo's War is a spectacular solo game. I would even put Mage Knight in here and Star Trek Frontiers, which is the version of Mage Knight I now own. I had Mage Knight Ultimate, and this is before I had a bunker, and I thought, this is too big. I can't get it played. I'll just get rid of it. And then I got the bunker, and I'm like, oh, I'd love to play Mage Knight again. And so I got Star Trek Frontiers, which is basically Star Trek Mage Knight, which is lovely. It's got Borg ships, whatever else. Do not tell me that Mage Knight is a multiplayer game. I know it is. But it's this, like, a turn in Mage Knight is 10 minutes. It can be. Because you got all, like... I do not want to sit here and play Mage Knight with 2 or 3 other people and wait a half hour for my turn. There is no world in which that is fun for me. So I'll put Mage Knight in here. And these are the games that I play often enough, particularly I'm thinking like Hoplomachus Victorum, Nemo's War, Batman the Dark Knight Returns. They're those table-sprawling, deep experiences that, yes, I've got to relearn, but I don't have to relearn from the beginning. And it's like putting on a pair of shoes that you've just forgot how to tie the shoes up because there's complicated laces. Once you work that out, you're like, oh, I got this. And they are spectacular. And I'm loving, this. You don't see much in this. I can't remember the last solo only sort of mid-heavyweight that's just solo only. But they're wonderful. And I love them, but I've got to have the right appetite. I've got to be hungry for this week. I'm going to play Hoplomachus, or this week I'm going to play Nemo's War. And that's what I normally do with Nemo's War is I get it out, I set it up, and I play 6 games, right? A game of Nemo's War is a good hour and a half, 2 hours. But the thing is, a reset on Nemo's War is about 10 minutes. Setting it up and relearning how to go, that's a good 30, 40 minutes. A game is an hour and a half to 2 hours, but a reset's just 10 minutes. And it's got this lovely narrative deck and this lovely... I don't think I've ever won Nemo's War. I don't care, right? It's just such a great experience. So then... And I really like that. That's a very niche category. I can't think of many games that actually fit into that category, guys. If you can think of some, shoot me a message on the Guild. I'll put some notes up this tonight on the Guild about this particular subject. But this next one, this is another one that I love, and this is basically solo games that are just you having to play all the players, and I'm looking at you, Zombicide. I'm looking at you, Cthulhu Death May Die. It's funny, they're both great raging dice chuckers, but there's no solo mode. You're just basically taking on the role of everyone that's there. And I guess you could say, well, campaign games can be like that. We're going to talk about campaign games because they kind of fall in their own category. But these are games where Spirit Island, you can put Spirit Island in there. Now, yes, you can play Spirit Island with 1 spirit. It's a punish. You really need to be playing 2. My sweet spot for Spirit Island is 3 spirits, so long as they're not too complicated. But basically, it's just like you're playing 3 different people at the table. And there's no other change to the game. There's no meaningful change. There's no change at all. And I love that because I just become this uber brain. I just become, it's not quite split personalities around the table, but you have to think of it that way. It's like, well, now I'm taking a turn with this spirit in Spirit Island. I have to think like this spirit. I couldn't do it in Gloomhaven. The decision space in Gloomhaven, I tried to play Gloomhaven 2-handed, and just because you've got to plan so much for the cards you're playing, it was too much for me. I couldn't get it over the line. But with something like Spirit Island, because yes, you've got all these very deep decisions you've got to make, and they combo off each other, I just find it's more tactical than strategic. You're thinking 1 or 2 turns ahead in Spirit Island, not 6. And in Zombicide and Cthulhu Death May Die, you're literally thinking 1 turn ahead because there's so much chaos, there's stuff exploding and catching fire, and you can think maybe next turn I'll do this, and then something catches fire, something explodes, or whatever the case is. Yeah. I love these puzzles, because that's what they are. They're puzzles. Don't change whether you're playing with a table of 2 or 3 people or 4 people, or you're playing by yourself, and it's the same game. I don't have to learn anything different. I don't have to learn anything extra. I just have to act for more people. And those 3 in particular are some of my absolute favorites. I think they're wonderful, absolutely wonderful. And what makes them great? There's no change. There's no change to the game. They're great for me because the game is the game. You learn the game, and you can play it multiplayer or you can play it solo. It doesn't matter. And that's what I think is absolutely spectacular about them. And then, so there's basically, I think, 5 categories here I'm talking about. The 4th category is solo games that aren't actually solo games, right? This is pretty much anything by Cheap Theory Games, Burn Cycle, Too Many Bones, Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era. Now, that would be great multiplayer, I think, but good luck getting people to commit to 13 hours. Euros with a quote-unquote solo mode. This is a sticky one because you've got good solo modes, you've got great solo modes, you've got absolute hot trash. So, we're talking about somebody's published a Euro and they're like, well, it has a solo mode. There is a way for you to play it solo. And some of them are great. I really like playing Euros solo when it works. So Euros with a great, easy to run, intuitive to execute, easy to learn and relearn, because let's be honest, every time you pull a Euro on the table, unless you're playing it all the time, we're relearning these games every time they come to the table. I don't even care if the bot isn't actually acting like a person, as long as it's mimicking a board state, right? So, for example, in Pirates of Maracaibo, you flip a card, and you just go down and goes this, this, and this. There's no decision. It's not saying, if this is on the board, get this one. I mean, it is a little bit, but it's very surface. But what it does is it eats up the board in a way that makes sense. And you don't have to think too much about it. And you can spend the time playing your own game. And to be honest, I don't care if the bot or the automa or whatever is labeled on, I don't care if it's not acting like a player. Like, if the bot says, just chuck 3 units in this space, well, okay, 3 units go in that space. All that space got harder for me to get into, whatever the case is. I don't care. As long as, for me, it feels like I'm playing a game. And as long as, for me, it feels like I'm playing a challenging game. If the bot comes out and it just goes, yeah, we're just going to do a couple things, get fucked, do whatever you like, it's boring. Why would I do it? So, great solos. Voidfall has a great solo. Now, the solo game for Voidfall is technically different to the multiplayer, but it's exactly the same as the co-op mode. Almost. There's a series of cards in a market, which everyone has access to, which are like these Uber cards. They're different in a solo game, but the mechanic, the gameplay, everything, it's exactly the same. Dune Imperium, to this day, I mean, it's one of my oldest games in my collection that I bought very early on when I got into board gaming. Dune Imperium has a wonderful solo mode in that it's historically or traditionally run off a deck of cards, but Direwolf has a digital app. You tap the button, it goes, put this guy here and do this. You don't have to think. It's not, if this, then that. If this, then that. Look here. If these 3 things, if the stars align, then fist a moon. Like, it's not. It's like you hit a button and it goes, now you're going to take this guy and you're going to put it here. And it's basically just, it's worker placement. So it just blocks you out. It's wonderful. Mennefer. It is a Euro of the Euro. It's basically 12 mini games out on the tableau. There's 10 zillion little things you've got to put out. Some of the wooden pieces you fucking need tweezers to put out. Right, the setup is horrifying. The gameplay is spectacular. I love Mennefer. I think it's wonderful. I think it's fun. I think it makes sense once you've learned the rules. And the solo is great. You flip a little tile over. It interacts with the last tile that's flipped over. You do a thing and you move on. You spend no time fart-assing around with the solo. You get to spend all the time on your game and looking at what's changed and what are you going to do. They're great. There are others. There's Anachrony. The Anachrony solo is spectacular. The Chronobot, particularly the new Chronobot, which was the 2nd generation Chronobot, it's a wonderful thing. It really is. It's so easy to use, and you spend no time. When I say no time, taking the bot's turn is like 10 seconds of your life. You go back to, now I've got as much time as I want to puzzle out what I'm doing next. So good. But good solo modes. Here's some good ones. Revive has a good solo mode. Now, I guess my, not hesitation, not even dislike, but one of the reasons I like the Revive solo mode. I think you're basically just playing Revive, but it's basically beat your own score. And that's fine, but it just becomes a rinse repeat efficiency puzzle. I think for me, if Revive's solo said, well, you've got to achieve these 5 things and a minimum score of 70 to win, then I think I would prefer that, but it's just beat your own score, but that's fine. Revive's a beautiful game. I haven't played Revive nearly enough, but Revive's a wonderful game, and the solo is great. Sky Mines by Alexander Pfister. The solo is actually better than 2-player, because the solo mode on that, while it's not fiddly per se, it's a card-based solo, it mimics a 4-player game. And it mimics the churn of the market. It mimics the tightness of the share markets. I want to say the churn of the card market. And Sky Mines at 2 is a really mid-tier game. Sky Mines at 3 is pretty good. Sky Mines at solo is better than 1 and 2. I have yet to play Sky Mines at 4-player. I should have put it on the birthday roster this week because I love Sky Mines. I can't get it to the table enough. I should have done that. But Sky Mines solo is spectacular. PAX Premier. Oh my god. It's one of those things that PAX Premier, I absolutely freaking love this game. I've only played it twice multiplayer. I played it 2-player with Super Trooper. I played it 2-player with Lou. They were both fine. They were fine games. The solo of PAX Premier is just so spectacular. And I'll tell you what, I would love to get PAX Premier to the table like 3 or 4-player. I mean, PAX Premier is a masterpiece of game. The Imperium system. Imperium Horizons, Imperium Classic, Imperium... What's the third one? I don't know if I've got them all in one box. I'm going to look over my shoulder. I don't know. Classics, Horizons, there's a third one. Anyway. That's the civilization building game. Imperium itself is a heavy game. The Imperium solo, it's complicated, right? It's a very much a if this, then that, if this, then that. But the flowchart's easy to read. And what it means is that you can play against any one of the other civilizations, and it feels like you're playing against somebody who's playing the civilization. You don't have to make any decisions, but you have to learn how the decisions are made. It's not I don't play Imperium solo very much. Because I don't play it very much, it's relearning it every single time. And then every time you change civilizations, you're not just relearning how to run their bot, you're relearning the nuances of your own civilization. That said, Imperium is a delight of a game. Yeah. And then we'll talk about Hot Trash. I'm not going to name any names on this one, largely because this falls into games where the multiplayer is a great game, and they've just decided somehow we need to have a solo mode. We're going to force a solo mode in here. And when I say Hot Trash, it's not that they don't work. It's just that they pull you out of the space. They pull you out of the game. They pull you out of the immersion, because you spend so much time going, right, now this, if this, then that, if this, then that. But why are they great? Look, when a Euro gets the solo mode right, it feels like you have friends. No, it feels like you're playing the game. If something like the Nucleum solo, it's really good. I don't play it enough to be able to do it intuitively, but it's really good. The Carnegie solo is not. It's not hot. I won't go as far as say it's hot trash, but the solo is not good. But when a Euro gets the solo mode right, it feels like a good time. And then we'll touch quickly on campaigns. Campaigns are their own separate category. And not all campaigns are good solo. So there's a lot of people that in the forums I'm in that played, Jaws of the Lion and Gloomhaven, and they're playing Frosthaven solo, and I would rather chew out my own arteries than play Gloomhaven solo. Gloomhaven's a great game. Okay. Gloomhaven's it's a hot take. Gloomhaven's a fine game. I think for its time it was amazing. I really do. There's a lot I'd rather play than Gloomhaven or Frosthaven these days if offered the choice. I will still play some of the boys are still working their way through Frosthaven, and I enjoy it for what it is. It's not that I've outgrown it. It's just I think that there are way better campaign systems out there, but it does not work solo. People who tell me I played it three-handed solo, it's wonderful. I don't believe you. It's not that I don't believe you that you played it three-handed or that you had a good time. It's just I don't believe that it's a good time. But there are some that are. Agamonia's is spectacular solo. It's so good. You've heard me talk about that. Tainted Grail, Kings of Ruin is spectacular. I put that on the table, and I played that, I think 27 sessions I played it through. It took me about 5 weeks. It didn't leave the table. I did the same with ISS Vanguard. I don't think I put it away. It hit the table, and I just played it like it was an obsession. It was the hook it to my veins, schmonkerl candy. It was just, it hit me with it again. Oathsworn, so good. In fact, Oathsworn was so good, and so good solo, that I went, oh my god, this is too good for me to be playing on my own. So I stopped. I haven't reset it yet, but I played Scenario 3, and I went, this is too good. This game mechanic is too good. So it's sitting there waiting. Elder Scrolls Betrayal: The Second Era. This is a multiplayer game. It is so good solo, right? It just feels like you're playing 12 hours of Skyrim or Morrowind or Oblivion. It's just so good. So good. And they're amazing because they grant long sessions of ultra engaging game that you almost become semi-obsessed with in short bursts. And they're so immersive, right? You live in that world while you're playing it. When I play Elder Scrolls, it's like 4 hours to set it up because you agonize over your characters, and I usually play that two-handed. And then it's like each session of the campaign or each chapter is 4 hours. When you're playing solo, who cares if it's longer? You're not in any rush. But not all campaigns suit. Definitely not. I mean, Lou and I played Jaws of the Lion up to scenario, I think, 22. And I tried to finish it solo. And because we'd had such a good time together, it's not that she just grew up. And it was, she was like, oh, Dad, I'm dumb. And I'm like, okay, I respect that. So I never actually finished Jaws of the Lion. So shame me if you will. All that's to say is what makes a solo game great. It depends on your appetite. For me, it's sometimes I want an easy solo game. When I say easy, an easy one to table. Sometimes I want something that is going to burn my brain out. It's almost like I want a soldering iron in my frontal lobe to burn out the angst of my day at work. Sometimes I want something that isn't even a game. I just want to flip some tiles and smile like I've had a lobotomy and just go to another place. All of these things, what they have in common, though, is they're made for me. And that's one of the things I love, is that they're made for me, that the solo gamer is thought of in this world, that we're not necessarily an afterthought. Sometimes we are, and when it is, when you get a game, you go, this solo mode, it smells like old taint. But they're made for me. And what's your appetite? How are you feeling? And if you can find the right meal for the right day, sometimes you just want to forget your life and go down a rabbit hole. Well, you're spoiled for choice in 2026, people. And the more I play, the more I look at my board game collection like a menu. Like, what do I feel like today? And yeah, I'm talking about solo games. You could just take solo out of this and go, well, this works for all games. I'm like, sure. I guess it's too late now. It's 20 minutes of your life you'll never get back because I talked in a circle pretending it was all about what made a solo game great. And for what it's worth, I feel ready to face the week. So thanks for my therapy session. This week's clap goes to W. Eric Martin and his newsletter, W. Eric Martin. I have no idea what the W stands for. I should look it up. He used to work, and I can't even tell you in what capacity, at Board Game Geek. He left Board Game Geek to start his own newsletter. You can subscribe to his newsletter at WerrickMartin, WEricMartin.com. I believe he has a free tier for the $2 a month I pay. I think you get 2 or 3 newsletters a week, and they are always engaging. I will not call them entertaining. They are not entertaining. They are engaging and interesting. He doesn't talk about the seedy dark underbelly. He doesn't talk about the politics. He doesn't talk about who's failing. He talks about the interesting stories, what's up and coming. He talks about indie producers. He talks about indie artists. He talks about game releases. Sometimes European games when and where they're releasing in different parts of the world. And I think it's worthwhile. I think his newsletter is worthwhile. I think it's very much worth the very small fee that I pay every month. And this month's clap goes to you, W. Eric Martin. Thank you for keeping me informed. You can join the One Man Clapping Guild on BGG. Subscribe to Guild 4426. Episode notes will be up there later today for your perusing pleasure. You can help OMC by dropping me a like on Facebook or Instagram or leaving me a review on whatever platform you choose. If you want to be honest and tell me that the sound of my voice makes you want to claw your ears out, that's okay. I've heard worse. I have 3 daughters. Thank you as always for your time. Your time is precious, and the fact that you chose to waste an hour of it listening to how I spend my time is always humbling. Until next time, get your game on, because solo games are the bestest games. Not really. They can be, if you're in the mood. If that's what you want. They're the bestest games. Sometimes they're what I want. Peace out, mofos.